Being a Rotarian is now even more rewarding. Rotary Global Rewards, our member benefit program, offers discounts you can use every day and helps Rotarians do what they do best: give back. The good you do comes back to you. Rotary Global Rewards. Find out more at rotary.org/myrotary.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Rotary Club of Tulsa. Good to have everybody here. A lot of energy in the room and excitement. Let's keep it going and turn around and greet somebody that you haven't met yet today. Okay, we have a big program today, so let's go ahead and get started. For our invocation today, we have the Reverend Jessica Moffitt. For Song and Pledge is Phil Armstrong, and visitor introductions is Michael Willis. If I could now have Reverend Moffitt.
Thank you. Hello, it's good to be with you today, and I just want to say again what a privilege it is to be the church that hosts the finest Rotary Club in the nation. We're so glad you are here. Let's pray. Gracious and holy God, we thank you for your presence with us here today as we set our sights on the highest and greatest things of life. We pray that you will bless and keep our business today, bless our speaker and all that we're about. And in the same breath today, Lord God, we offer to you our prayers for all of those who are suffering in Manchester and others throughout the world who are hurting at the hand of another person. And we pray that we will be a part of the solution. I thank you so much for the great causes of Rotary, and it is because of you that we can live service above self. In your name we pray. Amen.
Let us sing My Country 'Tis of Thee this morning. My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where our fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside let freedom ring. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you'll join me in helping welcome our guests and our visitors and our visiting Rotarians today. We have several of each. In fact, 2.5 pages of guests, so I'm going to get rolling through here. When we introduce you or when we speak your name, please stand with your host, Rotarian, and we will save our applause for the very end. And then we'll move on to our visiting Rotarians, and we will greet our visiting Rotarians with a hi along with their name. So I'll start out. Christine Mede with Edward Jones and Larry Cornwell are both guests of Chuck Wilson. Welcome. Joanne Emmons is the wife of Jerry Emmons. They ought to be sitting together. There we go. And then Jennifer Rush is with Crime Stoppers. She's also with Jerry. Janice Navarro with St. Francis is with Tiffany Egdorf. Welcome. Daniel Gomez with Connor and Winter is with Jesse Guardiola. Charles Groom is here with Jack McClumpy. And Mary Husband is here with Rob Walters, right here in the center of the room. James Smith with ORU is here with Graydon Yohe. Thank you all. Monica Erickson with the Tulsa Zoo is here with Terry Carell. Ellen Averill with Tulsa Zoo is also here with Terry. Alex Sokolowski is here with John Howland. Thank you, Alex. And Al Bulak is here with President John. Kevin Hearn is here with John O'Connor, here up front. Karen McCannell, who is a prospective member, is here with Michael Homan. And Mike Corey is here with Jane Carlson, right here. Garrett Delavadova is here with Dad John Delavadova. Sarah Rana with OCCJ is here with Sydney Marcellus, and also Shada Brown with OCCJ with Sydney. And Christina Spurlock with IMAX is here with President John. Thank you, Christina. Laura Parolari, our exchange student, is here with Catherine DeCamp. And Caroline DeCamp is here. She's the daughter of Sarge Catherine. And then last but not least, we have Sarah Henley, who is a guest of me, and she's also a prospective member. She's here with Girl Scouts of Eastern Oklahoma. So please join me in welcoming our guests. And now on to our visiting Rotarians. We have past president of the Manhattan Beach Club in California, Chris Ullman. Hi, Chris. We have David Hughes with Southside. Hi, David. And we have Ben Gurrell also with Southside. Hi, Ben. Thank you all, and please visit us again.
Thank you very much, Michael. And of course, we have our sitting Governor Donda Das here as my guest as well. I want to recognize this week's sponsors and thank them for their support. This morning we have Mark Gray with United Way. Let's give him a big round of applause for supporting us. As usual, we encourage you to do business with your fellow Rotarians. There's no place to go for a great relationship and a great integrity of business with a fellow Rotarian. So in addition to our sponsor, I'd like to thank all the others that helped make this program possible. Their names are on the screens. Let's give them a big round of applause as well. Now it's my pleasure, and this is a very big pleasure, to introduce you to our latest Blue Badgers, and they are a group called Class 3. So, you all do better than that. Okay. So it was several years ago that this concept kind of flourished. It's a little bit of Leadership Tulsa. It's a little bit of what's going on in other large clubs. And we began yearling classes, of course, with yearling class 1. We had 2 last year. We have 2 this year. This is our 3rd class to come in as a group. We kind of recognize that sometimes in a large meeting space like this with a lot of members, you can kind of get lost. So the concept was to bring them together for camaraderie and instant friendships, and have kind of a class to belong to. We know mentorship is very important, so they're mentor each other. And then it was also a way to incubate new ideas with new people. So sometimes we kind of think within our own box, and the new classes that have come in have really energized us with projects and the way that they think. So we really appreciate that. I'd like to invite our yearling chair, Jan Lobb, forward. She's going to MC our Blue Badge ceremony today as we bring in 12 new Rotarians who have earned their blue badges. Is that great? Don DeNoss is also going to help us with this ceremony.
I thought something else was going on first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I didn't know I was right there in the event thing. All right, it is definitely my honor, and I'm very excited to be able to introduce this next group of Blue Badgers. Gosh, it's been nice to get to know all of them. And if you have a red badge on and you're getting blue badges today, if you will come on up to the side over here, to the side stage. And then while they're coming up, there is somebody I would like to thank, and it's John DeBar. John, where are you? Yeah, John, he has been great on this committee this year doing the new member orientation. He's just been Johnny on the spot every time we had somebody. So I really appreciate that. Thank you very much, John. All right, so as I call you, you might want to like come up on the stage. It's been this way from the beginning. So I'll call your name, and if that happens to be you, come on up and we'll get the appropriate pictures and handshaking. All right, first person we have is Brandy Bynum. Brandy comes with us. She's with New View, Oklahoma, and she's the regional director. And she started back in June of 2016. Our next graduate is Tiffany Egdorf. She is president and CEO of Lindsay House, and she started back in March of 2016. She's on crutches. We have to cater to her for right now. She said it would take her 45 minutes to get up those stairs, so we let her do that. All right, our next person is Jerry Guardiola. Or Jesse, twin brother. He is with Guardiola Outreach Development, and he has been a member. He's CEO, and he's been a member since August of 2016. Thanks, Jesse. I need my different glasses. All right, Raymond Jones. He is the owner of Raymond Jones, as we all are owners of ourselves. He's been a member since April 2016. He didn't hear me say that. All right, Sarah Lorenzen. Sarah is with the Tulsa World, and she's the marketing director, and she joined us back in June of 2016. Sydney Marcellus. She is with Digital Days Cost Communications. Are you with both of us? Business-to-business sales coordinator, and she joined in April of 2016, so it's taken her forever to get your... And then Monica Martin. She is director of development with the Tulsa Day Center for the Homeless. And she joined in August of it says 2017, but I'm pretty sure that's a typo. So she joined in August 2016. And Brian Pascal, he is president of the Foundation for Tulsa Schools, and he joined us in December of 2016. And Casey Tarp, Director of Architect with Beck Design, and he joined us in March of 2016. And then Mandy Witten, come on down. Mandy is Director of Development with the Oklahoma Center of Community and Justice, OCCJ. She joined us in March 2017. Right. Okay. All right. And I didn't know if you wanted a group picture or not. Okay. Should we go down there? She's right there. Group picture. Where do you want them? Okay. Okay.
All right, thank you. Well, welcome everybody. And what's great is I've already worked side by side with a lot of these folks. So they're active, they've been to the social events, they've helped out with our service projects. What a great looking class and great contributions. Thank you so much. I'd like to call forward Don Dundas now for a special presentation.
Good afternoon. I would like to thank you for allowing me to be here, and I'd like to take just a moment to give you an update on polio. I personally feel that a few years ago when we said we're this close, that Rotary really made a mistake. And last year at a Rotary meeting, somebody defined how much this close was. We still need $1.5 billion to accomplish that goal. The problem with polio is if we have an outbreak, we could be back to where we started. It's that dangerous. This year, I'm happy to report that so far we've only had 5 cases of polio. We really thought that this Rotary, when we started, we had close to 400,000 cases a year 30 years ago, so that's really quite an accomplishment. But it's we've got to keep giving. We've got to keep working on it. Once we get down to 0 cases, it's going to take 2 more years for us to be polio-free. So we've still got a ways to go. And so we've really encouraged people to give to polio. And one of the people who really exemplifies the understanding of what it is to work on getting the money for polio is Bob McKenzie. And I'd like for Bob to come up here. I have, while he's working his way up here, I have a couple of heroes in Rotary, and you're not one of them, Chuck Wilson, but you're right at the top. But anyway, 2 of my Rotary heroes are John Broadbeck, who's from the Springdale Club. John grew up very poor, kind of like Jarl, didn't have indoor plumbing or anything, and he's given millions to Rotary. But it's not the amount of money he's given to Rotary, it's his passion for the Rotary Foundation. Another person who's one of my Rotary heroes is Ed Hardesty, who many of you know. Ed's a past district governor. And Ed made me realize that if I just gave a little bit at a time to the foundation, eventually it would accumulate to something, and consequently my wife and I are major donors. And we're not wealthy people, but I've been in Rotary so long it just kind of added up. And then, as you may remember from my talk when I came to visit last year, we're so hacked off at our kids moving to the East Coast that we've given part of their money away to Rotary. And we don't know why they don't want to live in Oklahoma. It's beyond us. But actually, where I'm going with this is actually my third Rotary hero is Bob McKenzie. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate what he has done for polio and the passion that he's displayed. So on behalf of the Rotary Foundation trustees, I'd like to give Bob this Regional Service Award for a polio-free world. So congratulations, Bob.
Well, that was kind of a surprise for Bob, so he was unusually speechless. And Don wasn't as usual either. Sorry, Chuck, for the slight there. I think you're fantastic. I don't know what the deal is. It's now my pleasure to introduce our Rotarian of the Day, Kyan. Kyan serves as Vice President of Economic Development for the Tulsa Regional Chamber, an organization she has served for nearly 6 years. In her position, Kyan is responsible for the successful management of all primary job creation and capital investment projects generated by the Economic Development Division of Other Sources. In English, that means her job is to keep companies here, happy, expanding, and to attract new companies to Tulsa. Kyan has designated herself as one of the Gathering Place's biggest fans, and she finds any excuse to tell Tulsans and non-Tulsans about how transformative this park will be for the city of Tulsa and how ultimately they should move to Tulsa because it is so amazing. She has created her own hashtag t-shirt for the park, one that I won't tell you what the hashtag is, I'll leave that up to her. And she regularly threatens to wear this promiscuous t-shirt to foundation staff events and emblazoned with the hashtag. So please help me welcome our Rotarian of the Day, Kyan Kamis.
Thank you so much, John. It's really my pleasure to have the opportunity to introduce Tony. As John mentioned, I have the honor of spending almost every day convincing people that they should keep their business here and grow it, and then bring new business to the region. And if you think about what it takes to grow business in Tulsa, and then beyond that, keep people here, the people who will actually work in those businesses, quality of place and quality of life is just increasingly important. In order for Tulsa to compete with Dallas or Austin or Chicago and even right down the turnpike, Oklahoma City, we really as a region and a city have to continue to invest in ourselves. And if I can point to one project in the city that's just going to have a phenomenal impact on our ability to make my job easier, which I really appreciate that, Tony. Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to 2017 being much easier than previous years. So a little bit about Tony. Tony has 30 years of experience leading park operations, environmental health and safety, culinary operations, and marketing for some of the most respected hospitality and entertainment institutions, including SeaWorld, Universal Studios, and most recently as the Chief Operating Officer at Tampa's Lowry Park Zoo. Moore brings experience to industry leadership to Tulsa. At Tampa's Lowry Park Zoo, he served as Chief Operating Officer and was responsible for all new project development, brand enhancements, and marketing. Prior to working at the zoo, Moore served as corporate director for SeaWorld and executive assistant to the CEO. He also worked as director of operations for Discovery Cove and SeaWorld Orlando, the director of environmental health and safety for all 3 SeaWorld Orlando parks, and director of culinary revenue for its water parks. So as you can tell, he has just a little bit of experience in what he'll be doing here in Tulsa. Tony is originally from Jamaica, and he spent the last 30 years in Florida. He's a graduate of the University of Central Florida, and he has a bachelor's degree in business administration. He's married to Jillian, and together they have 2 kids. And I should have asked him how to pronounce their names, but as if somebody who always has their name butchered, know that I apologize and understand. Kai and Kasilu? Awesome. Ages 6 and 2. Tony, I'll turn it over to you.
Kane's a little taller, so I'll bring the mic down a bit. Well, thank you so much for having me here. Since I've been in Tulsa now for almost 9 months, and I've been cautiously getting out. As you can imagine, a lot of work to be done, and so this is one of my first public appearances outside, so I can't think of a better organization for which to be one of my first. But thank you for having me here. As Kyan mentioned, so I'm originally from Jamaica, but spent the last 30 years in Florida in the hospitality business. And of that, my last stop was at Tampa's Lowry Park Zoo. And Temporary Park Zoo is the most attended zoo in the Southeast, and the zoo is in the midst of a brand discovery, and they were growing and expanding a little bit. While I was there, I got a call from a headhunter saying, hey, you know, we're building a park in Oklahoma, and would you be interested in going to Oklahoma? And I said, Oklahoma? I said, you know, I'm really good. You know, Florida is the vacation capital of the world, 60+ tourists. I'm good, you know, and I remember her specifically said, well, it's not just Oklahoma, it's Tulsa. And I said, okay, have you ever been to Oklahoma before? And I said, no. She says, what do you know about Oklahoma? I said, well, I'm a huge fan of the musical, and that's not sure how relevant that is, but I am. And so she said, you need to look at this project and then perhaps come on up and take a look. And so I went online, and you know, what we have currently is a construction update website, but it was so compelling in seeing this project. And so I came up, and I had an opportunity to meet some of the folks here in Tulsa and learning more about the project. And so I gotta tell you, in Orlando, a major attraction, so you'll put a major attraction in, and it will last you about 3 years of visitation, and then you have to think something new to add a new attraction. And the new attraction can range anywhere between $50 million that will run you for about three or so years. And recently, Universal Studios added a new attraction. It was called Harry Potter, and it was a well-known IP that had a long window from visitations from parents that saw the first movie, read the first book, who now have kids that were also watching the last movie. So strong brand appeal, and Universal spent $500 million in this install. And this was unlike any expansion that had ever been done. And so when I came here, and remember that 500 million number because it's significant. And so when I came here and I looked at the model and I met with the folks from George Kaiser Foundation, and I was so impressed. And first of all, my hat's off to Tulsa for the philanthropic community and such a culture. I've never seen anything like it anywhere. And so the significance of the 500 million, total value for the entire project, including what the city has put in from an infrastructure point of view, hard costs, soft costs, is about $460 million. And it's free. And so never seen anything like this, totally remarkable. And I remember asking Jeff Stava, I said, okay, this is so impressive, the quality, the planning that's going into this. And I said, so how are you going to make money? And I remember Jeff looking at me and said, Tony, this park is funded by Tulsans, for Tulsans, and the aim is to have a quality park that's repeatable, that our locals, our Tulsans can visit and be proud of, all generations, all economic, socioeconomic backgrounds, different cultures, and making money is not the objective. And so I was floored by it first and saying, 460 million and there's no ROI attached to this? Never seen anything like it. But it speaks about the commitment that Tulsa has to its community. And I'll tell you, this is unlike any other park that's ever been done. And this is the foundation of what ultimately could be, Cayenne, a destination-forming infrastructure for the city of Tulsa. You know, in Orlando, our guests will come from all over, and they're spending multiple days, and they're investing in the economy, and they're using tourist dollars as an economical driver. And so this park has the potential to be just that, and it's situated in a way where it just needs the addition of other attractions to make it somewhat of a destination, and so we can market this beyond and get visitations beyond just one day. And so the quality that went into this park is unreal. It's hard really to understand the product. And so if you ask some people, it's a gathering place, well, what exactly is it? And so there is this historical image of what a public park is. It's nothing compared to the historical mindset that one will have. So a couple different ways to look at this park in understanding the product. Think of Central Park. It's Central Park on steroids. Now, it's not as big, but from a content point of view, it's quite significant. So we have a presentation here. Do I have a thumb drive to go through, or do I just keep talking? All right, so we'll start. Picture, good. I'm sure you're familiar with this profile. Thank you so much. You're familiar with this profile, not just a park, but a park on a river, and that's significant. We have the opportunity to engage a river like never before. Major cities are building parks on rivers where you have that real estate and the appeal to apply and make it recreational. And so you may not know, or you might, there is a plan to engage the river and create a channel in which we will encourage activities and rafting and kayaking on the river itself. Now that's a little later in the production timeline of the park being open, but we will engage the river unlike anything. So 100 acres, 70 acres will open, roughly 70 acres will open sometime next year between spring and summer, and then there's another 30 acres that will open shortly thereafter. The footprint of the park, as you can see, it's not your traditional layout. It's somewhat elongated, and that was just primarily based on the acquisition of the land that was available, so close to downtown Tulsa, but 100 acres, and from a content point of view. So what makes this different from your traditional public parks is that this park has the ability to appeal to the nature lovers. It's a green park, and so this park was designed by a gentleman named Michael Van Valkenburg and Associates. And so Michael is nationally known for public parks. Michael did Brooklyn Bridge Park, Maggie Daley Park, Battery Park, St. Louis, the St. Louis Arch, from a landscaping, he's a landscape designer. And so for Michael, it's where the natural landscape blends with harmony with the physical buildings that you build. And so Michael goes out of his way to make sure it has a strong nature sustainability appeal, and it's not just a hardscape, if that makes any sense. As I mentioned, Central Park, it's a pretty neat picture just to show the value that green space can have surrounding a very urban environment. And at some point, the Gathering Place does not have the legacy, but we hope that it will grow in value and grow from a point of view of having value. So how this process started, there was community outreach and there was a lot of input. And quite frankly, I was told that Tulsa started to experience corporations leaving the city of Tulsa and saying, hey, we're moving to other cities. And one of the objectives for the Gathering Place and for the foundation is to make Tulsa a place to live, work, play. And so from an economical driver perspective, this is a recreational space where we'll have a lot of input and where families, young families, corporations, and Tulsans will feel like this will add to the quality of life and provide a space for engagement. But before this park was actually done, there was a public forum. 3 meetings were held in which the foundation reached out to the community and said, tell us what is important for you for a public park. What are some of the features you'd like to have? And Michael listened a lot to these and integrated some of these feedbacks into the park itself in actual features. A little bit on Michael. So Michael is so well known for what he's doing. This will actually be the crowning jewel in terms of a public park for him right now. The folks from Dallas are working on him to do another park, I think on the Trinity River as well, but nothing at the scale of what's been done here. And Michael was responsible also for doing the landscape design for the George W. Bush Presidential Library, and he did such a good job with it that now the Obamas are asking him to do the same. In today's time of political environment, when you're being asked from both Republicans and Democrats to do work, you got to be doing something right. And so we're so proud to have Michael part of this project. Oops, I guess I'm hitting in the wrong way. So we are hoping very much that the Gathering Place will bring to Tulsa a wide combination of firsts, never been done before. And so I'll talk a little bit about the park. The park has an experience that it's called a sports court, multi-use international sports courts that you can use for basketball, for tennis, for soccer. You can drive right up to your court, you can play, you can jump in your car, you can leave. There is a BMX pump track for kids that can ride your BMX bikes. There's actually 3 levels to that. There's a beginner, an intermediate, and there's an advanced. There is a skate park that you can skate. And so there's a lot of engaging activities for those who are physically fit and those who think they're physically fit, but it's an area that you can engage. In addition to that, there is an adventure playground. And the adventure playground is a 5-acre playground that's designed by 2 European firms. One is called Richter and the other is called Monstrum, one from Germany and one from Denmark. And these are world-class attractions that are being placed in the park. Literally, and you may have heard me say this before, you could put a turnstile on this area and charge admissions. This part of the park, by every definition, is a theme park. And it's going to be the favorite spot for stroller moms to come, and I can foresee them pulling their kids away because they won't want to leave. And there's so much to do in this environment. In addition to that, we have 2 world-class restaurants. One's the Boathouse, and the Boathouse sits at the highest point of the park, and it's surrounded by glass. And from the Boathouse, at the highest spot, you can look back and you can see downtown Tulsa. And it's going to be absolutely breathtaking at night, especially when the city illuminates. And you can also look over and see the river, and as well as there's a 3-acre man-made lagoon. Folks, this park is going to be absolutely stunning and beautiful. I foresee a lot of folks. We hired a culinary vice president. His name is Steve Terry. And his job, so we'll be running the culinary in-house. We won't be outsourcing that. But Steve's job is to ensure that we have quality food, but quality food that's affordable. And also from a wellness and healthy point of view, we're challenged to make healthy food fun and fun food healthy. But one of Steve's challenges is going to be the rotation. You know, in the food business, you want people to dine and then leave and dine and then leave. But the aesthetics is so beautiful that we know people be dining and staying. And so that's a good problem to have. If you have not seen it yet, and we'll talk a little bit about this construction timeline, it's really coming along, and it's going to be absolutely stunning. There's another culinary restaurant called The Lodge, and The Lodge is adjacent to an area that's basically what we're calling a living room. And it's a 9,000 square foot building, and it's all glass as well, and it has a lot of community space that you can just come in, you can sit, you can dine, you can get coffee, you can get chocolate, you can have ice cream, you can just sit, you can just relax and just recreate or just have good family, good bonding time. There's a wide combination of seating areas, some that will be themed around 17th century French, and others that would look as if it came out of a designer house in South Beach, Miami. It's just a wild combination, and the artists and the type of design, I mean, these guys are the folks that are top of their game. So Tulsa is getting a quality park, and I will tell you the thought process that went behind this is parallel with anything that's been done, anything that I've seen in the theme park business between Disney and Universal and SeaWorld, where we're building multi-million-dollar designs. This is very much a quality park. So, you know, one thing about building, and I thank this community for their donation, you know, there's a very theoretical approach to this and say you build a world-class project, now will it deliver? You know, it's all theoretical, and we're patting ourselves on the shoulder and say this is great. And so when we open our gates, it must deliver for Tulsans. It must deliver in terms of quality. It must deliver in terms of the service that's offered. It must be culturally relevant. And so we want to ensure that the visitation that visits this park it's a wide range. And so we have a marketing team that's going out to the Hispanic and the Latino communities to tell them, to educate them, to making sure this product is relevant to them. We're going to the Asian American community, the African American community, the non-urban community. We're reaching out to all the different communities to ensure that this park is relevant and to educate them about it, because there's nothing like it. And when you speak about it, people tend to reference a historical mindset, and this is totally different. And so we're hoping that this will enhance the quality of life for Tulsa, be culturally relevant, and has to be a quality operation. It must be repeatable. You know, there's a lot of tire kickers that will come out and say, I can't wait to see it. I want to see what all this hype about. But once they get there, it must be repeatable. And what makes an experience repeatable is the service It's the aesthetics. It's the quality of the operation. Folks must feel safe. And safety now, in light of what happened in England a few days ago, and even what happened in Manhattan, it's a huge responsibility for public safety in terms of public gathering. And so we have reached out to our friends from Homeland Security, and they're meeting with us. They're looking at our blueprints. They're understanding our park. We're partnering with the Sheriff's Department and all our first responders in a sense of engaging them to understand our park and what this means and what our emergency action plans will be, because public safety obviously is very important to us. And so with that, the park is really starting to look like a park. You know, this has been under construction for a while, and I know the #1 question I often get is, hey man, when is Riverside going to open? You know, the traffic is crazy. I'm driving all the way around. The park is great and all, but I got to get to Riverside. And so, as you have heard, our opening timeline now is somewhere between spring and late spring and summer. And you know, you can act and you can do, but when there's rain, it just affects your timeline a little bit, and there's nothing you can do. But what I can tell you is that the park is coming along nicely. It's a quality park, and it's really starting to look like a park right now. As you know, a lot of construction, and so it's important to note, this initially was a flat land, as you guys all know, and tons and tons of cubic yards were brought in, and the topography of the landscape has changed completely. One of the objectives was how to tie the river into the park and not interrupt the flow of Riverside. And so what Michael Van Valkenburg and designers have done, they've created 2 land bridges that will go over the park, over Riverside, and branch out to the river bank. So you can walk from the park to the river and back without interrupting along Riverside. And in addition, on the river, there's 7 acres of land that was added and bumped out in the river. I mean, this is really cool. So a lot of dirt was brought in. It has a lot of undulations and high points and low points, and a huge 3-acre man-made pond, Peggy's Pond. And so the topography and over 1,000 trees were saved on property that was there before. In addition to that, 7,000 trees were added in addition to 60,000 plants and shrubs. So the landscape on this will be quite impressive. This is the boathouse I was telling you about, where we are today. It has a community deck stepping right outside from the restaurant that can house about 300 folks standing in a social environment. And from that community deck, you can look back and see downtown Tulsa. And in addition to that, it has an area for adult beverages that you can go and refresh yourself. But there's so much to do. And also to note, within the park, a lot of what will be done is programming. And so we started yesterday with the official launch of our reading tree, where we're working with Tulsa City County Libraries to promote reading for the summer. And then from there, the challenge is to the Tulsa County schools to read 2 million books from now in the park opening. In an effort to encourage reading. But programming is a major part of this experience, and not your traditional programming. So wellness will be important. We'll be having workshops on wellness and on health and wellness. We'll be focusing on sustainability. We'll be doing workshops on the arts and festivals, world-class festivals that we're hoping to bring, jazz festivals, Native American festivals, Latina festivals, a diverse amount of content we're hoping to bring. In addition to that, we're hoping to bring world-class attractions, traveling exhibits that's never been here in Tulsa, or even in the Midwest for that matter. We're currently looking at global programming, global events, and saying, what can we bring to Tulsa to give Tulsa that pedigree of events and add to the quality of life? The land tunnels. So we have 2 banks of land tunnels, land bridges, I should say, that will allow guests to travel through Riverside. And on top of these land bridges will be dirt, about 15 feet of dirt and trees that will take you to the river's edge. And so these land tunnels have a Scandinavian type of design. They look very European. and it's going to be a landmark for Tulsa. It's going to actually give a great sense of arrival. You will know you've arrived when you see these land tunnels, and there's nothing like it anywhere, and it will really help to promote the quality, and I can foresee kids just looking for this landmark as it will be significant from a sense of arrival. So a couple things to add to the gathering place. This is going to be an economic driver for Tulsa. This will be a shiny point of which we were hoping to use to attract companies to Tulsa. And already we're working with the Convention Visitors Bureau, and when they're having large groups coming to Tulsa and they were saying, hey, you know, this is going to be an awesome place, let me tell you about this, and it will help to bring business to Tulsa. How are we going to market this? This will have a national marketing in that we will try to have a halo effect to say, look what's being done in Tulsa. We're working with national media. We were recently in New York talking and saying, what can we do to help the world to understand what's happening here in Tulsa, dealing with the major media groups. And so we're looking for a national appeal to bring attention to Tulsa. We're also looking for a regional appeal. Anyone within a day's drive, 4 to 6 hours away, the Kansas Cities, the Arkansas, the St. Louis, the Dallas, Memphis, anyone within a day's drive, we want to help to promote Tulsa to folks within a day's drive and say, come and visit Tulsa, and then, of course, regional. One of our concerns is, hey, you know, are we going to be totally overwhelmed by visitations from out of Tulsa and make it terribly difficult for Tulsans to enjoy the park? That will happen, but I don't think that will happen initially. There'll be some marketing that eventually will come with some momentum, and eventually they will come. But as I mentioned earlier, the important thing is that we get visitation that's more than one night where they're going to go in a hotel, stay overnight, get a rental car, and put some money back in the Tulsa economy. So, with that said, that covers where we are a little bit. Construction is going well, a little delay due to weather, but it's looking good, and quality takes time, and so we appreciate your patience with this, and the anticipation is certainly there. I think I was talking with Lynette earlier today, and Lynette says, hey, I don't want to see it yet until it's finished. I want to wait until I can get out there and behold what we've been waiting on, and so this truly will be a part that Tulsa will really be proud of. So I have a few minutes from a Q&A point of view. I'll be happy to answer some questions. Yes, sir?
For those of us who don't want to wait until it's totally finished, what are the chances of doing some sort of tours of the current program?
So we get so many questions for tours that if we were able to fulfill all of them, I'd be a tour guide every day. But with that said, and I appreciate that question, important to note, in January, we're going to do a soft opening. And the reason for the soft opening is you don't want to wait for the grand opening and then figure out how to operate the park. So you start with a soft opening, systematically give yourself an opportunity to start managing things. Little things that you don't think about once the critical mass hits you is like, toilets. What happens when every toilet starts to flush? Is it going to back up? I mean, you can't figure these things out until you start to have what I call consumer interface, guest interface. So in January, we'll start to have a soft opening, and this is primarily for students and for kids, but we'll start at that point to selectively start to have tours where folks can get in and see. And then once Riverside opens as well, you know, it's going to be interesting, the folks driving by with a turkey neck as they're looking right and left. But there'll be berms also, and our sound engineers tell us the berms will be so well done that you won't hear the cars going by, so we'll see. But in general, we'll start with some soft openings. Yes, sir, at the back of the...
Yes, where are all the people going to park that go to the park?
Where are the people going to park? So we have parking on site, and we also have a plan for off-site parking. For the initial opening, though, part of our Phase 2 areas we will use to offset some of the parking where parking will be on-site. And we're also working with some of our partners, I think Tulsa Community, TCC, that's just up the road, that will have some shuttles that will be running as well. The beauty about the soft opening is that you start to gradually release the valve and you don't have that pent-up first visitation where you have tens of thousands trying to come that first week and it just overflows over. I know there's some concerns with some of the residents that are close by, and we're very cognizant of that and how to manage that overflow parking. And we're actually reaching out to some friends in Chicago by Wrigley Field that have that same concerns and how they're managing it. And so we're working with the city to manage that as well. So to answer your question, The parking strategy for opening will be a little different until the park normalizes. And typically, it takes about 2 years, 2 to 3 years for park to normalize in terms of visitation, in which you have the tire kickers and the initial visitation and the heavy marketing, and then it normalizes to what would be a normal day. And so we will have a very robust parking plan leading into the normalization plan. Yes, ma'am? So the question is, how are we going to maintain the park? Will there be a combination of local versus external? I will say, when you spend this kind of money on a park, you have to make sure it's a quality park and it's properly ran. And the true measure of quality, it won't be year one when everything is fresh. It'll be year 3 when you've had some wear and tear, and what will be the philosophy of management and how you maintain the quality. With that said, part of my obligation is to ensure that quality is consistent and it's not just for a period of time. And so we're hiring a team, some of which are local, and we have had some strong talent that we were fortunate to hire locally, but we've also gone out and recruited some folks that do this park maintaining and park management as a park operation for a living, and I try to hire folks that understand the quality of the upkeep for a paid experience, and we're bringing that philosophy of upkeep into an unpaid environment. So we have a team of operations that we will own, and it will be operated by the Gathering Place leadership team. We'll be hands and feet on deck, looking at quality, making sure that when that park is open, it's what we call guest ready, that pathways are blow packed, benches are wiped down. We've hired a maintenance guy from Florida, and I remember someone saying, man, you think you're going to be able to recruit people from Florida to come all the way? Yes. And we brought some of the very best that understands the business, and so we're hiring a team that understands quality and will maintain it and be responsible for it. Yes, sir?
Normally, when you have a schedule delay, it impacts the budget. How are you on budget?
So we are on budget. And I have to give Jeff Stava credit, and he manages the budget of the construction in a very frugal and disciplined manner. We're on budget. We're good budget-wise. We still have some couple aspects, as you may have heard in the media, that we're figuring out with the bridge and different components, but we're on budget, and the schedule is primarily construction-based, and as it interfered with the construction teams being able to get through. Because there's so much dirt that was brought in, when it rains, the entire site becomes a mud pit. But with that said, pathways are being poured, attractions are being installed, and buildings are moving along nicely. Yes, sir?
What's the hours of the park, and when the park is closed, how do you get everybody down?
Hours of the park, and how do you close the parks at night? So currently the plan, and this could change, is for us to adopt the operating hours that's quite similar to the river parks. And so what's important to note is that for the Gathering Place, the Midland Valley Trails wraps around on the eastern end and then travels through the park to the riverbanks. And so there'll be bikers and joggers that will travel through. And then also the River Parks Trail will run adjacent to the river along through the. And so this is going to be one of the coolest places to jog, to hike, to bike. We will have bike share and bike locations around the park that you can get your bike and then get in the park and pick up another bike on the other end, and we're working those type of logistics out. But we will have a security team at the end of the night that will close the park. And so traditionally in a paid experience, there's one point of entry and there's one point of egress. You know who's coming, you know who's leaving. For this park, in a public park environment, there's 20 point of entries. And part of that design was from a convenience point of view. You can pull up in your car, you can enjoy the park, you can leave, stroller mom can come with her stroller, enjoy, get in the park and leave. But we will have an in-house security team that will do a park sweep, an official declare the park closed, and in the same sense, we'll have an official opening for the park, in which, and some of those details we're working through from a security point of view. Pardon me? One more question, please. Yes, sir.
What is the interface with the existing parks, river parks, city parks, county parks of the Gathering?
So what's the interface with the current parks, parks establishments here in Tulsa? We are very much a part of the river parks. We are a segment of the river parks, but it's being managed by its own LLC, a park conservancy, a private group that will manage the park and oversee the park. I think we have a 100-year lease in the operation of the park itself, but it's part of the river parks park. Well, thank you so much for having me. We're truly excited about this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tony, and maybe Rotary can be part of your soft opening of the restaurant. So we'll work on that. We had a speaker book today to recognize our speaker. It will go to our adopted school, Celia Clinton Elementary, and the title is, "What If Everybody Did That?" Which we kind of hope they don't, right? Let's keep this special. I have a few announcements. On your way out or on your way in, I hope you visited the 2017-18 committee fair. There are booths out in Parker Hall, and it's for you to get to know your committees and sign up. So please remember, sign up for 3 different committees. Next week, May 31st, the Diversity Inclusion Committee will participate in the Step on the Path to Reconciliation Walk. Remember, John Franklin Jr. will be here, and this is connected to that event that we'll have. So they will be meeting at the John Hope Franklin Park at 5:30, and we'll walk to the Greenwood Cultural Center. Contact Michelle Place for more information. Next week, I will be making an announcement about some new table pricing. I have it in my hand. If you're interested, you can come see me or come see Jean. It is a way that we're going to give you the opportunity to sit with a celebrity without buying an entire table. So if you're looking for tickets and you have that celebrity on your brain that you want to sit with, see Jean or Casey. And remember, we've got keynote speaker books for sale. Shannon and Chris Herron have autographed some books. We have about 40 sets of autographed books remaining, so they're going fast. I'd like to call up Catherine right now as our Sergeant of Arms, and she has a few tidbits for us. We can do that all at once, sure. So part of what Catherine's going to do is we have a 50-50 drawing where it's a split pot to raise money for our Rotary International Fund, which is what helps us drill water wells, sponsor our exchange students, and supports Polio Plus.
Okay, everybody. Let's get going. First, let me say that Laura, next Wednesday will be her last day to be at Rotary. So be sure that you say goodbye to her before she leaves to carry on her travel. So today on our slides, first of all, a couple of my favorite Rotarians hit me up and said, "Hey, we haven't seen this announcement go up on a slide." So we had an anonymous fine that was paid for a new position that I have as the executive director for Friends of Starlight concerts. For those of you who may or may not know what those are the 6 free concerts that are in the summer. They used to be at the river, and now they're at Guthrie Green. And our beloved Jimmy Sade was one of the first conductors of that band. So if that help you all remember what that is. So that's what I'm doing now. And thank you, Anonymous, for that fine. Next, Sarge Salute goes to Pedro. Did you all see the legal news? So here's, this is from the legal news. Thank you, Charles Seacrest. And I want you to know, on that day, Pedro was really touched because on that day, we were his brothers, his sisters, his daughters, his sons, his granddaughters, his grandsons, and it was a marvelous day. And I love how this article starts out by saying, as soon as his name was called, there was a huge round of applause, and that's because he was so loved by all of us. So, Pedro, I know that you're here. I think everybody's like pointing. There he is. So. Hello, Mr. U.S. citizen, and welcome. Okay, and then I was so glad that Don's with us today, because if you all read your email from Don, he challenged everyone to contribute $31 this year for polio, and also talked about the RAM. And so Pedro was really touched by, not only by the citizenship, but also by this letter, and he said, you know, I am going to exceed the challenge. I'm giving $100, so he would really like to encourage everyone to take our district governor up on his challenge to go ahead and donate $31 each for the 31 years of the polio challenge. So thank you, Pedro, for your exceeding the challenge. And that's all I have for slides. It's
Thank
so
you,
rare.
Catherine.
Oh, and this is from the magazine on the Rams. So if you all didn't read that in April, you've got to read that.
So while you're finding somebody to draw the ticket, I'll say I donated my firstborn son to polio. He's going to go on the ride with Bob, the Ram ride.
Again, he did that
So,
last year, right?
yeah, hopefully he finds the right path and gets Bob home this time. So,
Okay, I'm going to have our governor draw the lucky ticket.
now Don will draw his own. You got to be careful with him.
Can you read it?
7120.
7120, last 4 digits, 7120.
Somebody,
Mike.
Oh.
Mike, you offered me those tickets and I turned them down.
So our pot today is $317. I wonder if it's because he's like the incoming president. You think maybe it was, well, congratulations. So I pre-shuffled these. Hey, you got to get up here with me. So take what we can get.
All right, 9 of spades.
9 of spades. Thank you for playing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, for
Thank
your
you.
generosity.
Matthew, if I could have you come forward, thank you.
Who?
Matthew.
Oh, I'm sorry. Couldn't hear him.
This is a budget announcement. Matthew Bristow, I'm the budget chair for 16-17. On your tables, you've got the budget for 2017-18, and it'll be on the table for the next couple of weeks. We'll be voting as a club on it in the next couple of weeks, which is what we need to do as part of the bylaws. Quick note to say thank you to the Budget Committee. This is a process that starts in February. There's 3 months of work. We take direction from the Long Range Planning Committee, but then also Jeff Hassel, past president, wanted us to put together a strategic plan. John's been championing that this year, and we actually built the budget based around the strategic plan. So we needed to find increased funding for certain areas that the plan called for, and then naturally, because we have to balance the budget, reduce expenses, and we've made some substantial expense reductions from the budget as well. The fun thing doing this budget process is you get to spend a lot of time doing sometimes tedious and difficult work, but in particular I want to say thank you to Casey King, to Jerry Barrientos, and to incoming President Mike. For any of you going through something like this in Rotary, the amazing thing is just how smart and talented the Rotarians are in this group, and it was a real privilege to go through this. So more details to follow in the next few weeks, actually talking through the budget in detail, but thank you.
Thank you. So we've had a great program. Thank you, Tony, for the insight. Thank you, Cayenne and Don. Thank you to Class 3. And let's go out and spread this wonderful feeling we have about Tulsa and tell everybody about Rotary. We're adjourned.